Okay, good evening. I know everyone's here tonight to welcome our new council members, so that's why I showed up, right? Right, Matt? So anyway, I did want to welcome our new council members. It is 6 o'clock, January the 6th, 2020. It's time to open up our city council meeting. Ms. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Austin?
Here.
Mr. Blankenship?
Here.
Mr. Eggers?
Here.
Mr. Hukin?
Here.
Ms. McGinnis?
Here.
Mr. Rainierson?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
So we have four.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Ryan, could you lead us in prayer and pledge, please?
Let's pray. Our Father, we come to you and we thank you so much for everything that a new year represents. A clean slate, another great opportunity to fill each day with purpose and to make a difference. God, I thank you so much for all of those who are new to our city council. We pray, Father, that you would bless them with wisdom and discretion and discernment in the decisions they make. And God, thank you for our mayor and every council member. God, I thank you tonight for their service. Lord, I pray that you be with our police, fire, emergency medical personnel. God, thank you for all they do. Watch over and protect them as they serve, be with our military. Thank you for our country. God, I pray that we as citizens of this city and this country would please know you. God, we look forward to another great year, and we pray your blessings upon it. We thank you. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Before we get to our certain announcements and presentations, I do have our fire chief, Matt Cole, is here, and Deputy Chief Justin Lawler. I would like to give you guys a swearing-in ceremony. See, he's an expert at this. Please raise your right hand. I, Matt Cole, have been appointed to the office of chief
The office of chief
in the City of Franklin Fire Department.
in the City of Franklin Fire Department.
I swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
I swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana.
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
I will obey the rules and regulations
and I will obey the rules and regulations
of the Franklin Fire Department,
of the Franklin Fire Department,
the policies, procedures, and practice
the policies, procedures, and practice
of the City of Franklin,
of the City of Franklin,
employee handbook,
employee handbook,
and that I will obey all lawful orders
and that I will obey all lawful orders
and faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
and faithfully discharge the abilities of said office to the best of my abilities.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations. Now. Justin? Okay, raise your right hand. I, Justin Lawler,
I, Justin Lawler,
have been appointed to the office of Deputy Chief
appointed to the office of Deputy Chief
in the City of Franklin Fire Department.
for the City of Franklin Fire Department.
I swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
I swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
that I will obey the rules and regulations of the Franklin Fire Department,
and I will obey the rules and regulations
the policies, procedures, and practices
the policies, procedures, and practices
of the City of Franklin Employee Handbook,
of the City of Franklin Employee Handbook,
and that I will obey all lawful orders
and that I will obey all lawful orders
of my superior officers
of my superior officers
and faithfully discharge the duties of said office
and faithfully discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
sir. That's Max. Why does everybody get up and run?
We don't want to photobomb them in their special.
All right, tonight's also, before we get into electing the council president and vice president, do we have any other announcements, presentations, public comment? Marty, you got something?
Yeah, like I said, I missed the last meeting, from last year, on behalf of Discover Downtown. I want to tell you guys, thank you for all your support and backing, we appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, that gets us to election. The first meeting in the year is always an organizational meeting, so we get to the election of the council president. I think we take some nominations for the council president at this moment.
Mayor, I'll nominate Kenneth Austin as council president.
Second.
Okay, is there anybody else to nominate anyone else? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations. So all in favor of Mr. Austin being council president, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to the vice president.
Mayor, I'll nominate Drew Eggers for vice president.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we, anybody else? Okay, we have a motion and a second for Mr. Eggers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay, next one, we have the annual appointment of one planning board member. I know in the past that member has been Mr. Joe Abbott, and I think Mr. Abbott, former councilman, is, I don't know if he's talked to you gentlemen or not.
I
And
spoke.
lady, I'm sorry.
I spoke with him, I know, and he wishes to remain on it. I would move to nominate Mr. Abbott to stay on that planning board.
So we have a motion and a second by Mr. Austin. Is there anybody else wishing to nominate someone else?
I think it's even more appropriate with Joe with the pending reconstruction of 31. I'm not quite sure how that might play out in Dolway, where he's originally from. And I didn't know he's still there, but I think that plays out pretty well in there.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Mr. Abbott on the planning commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we go on now to the annual appointment of 2 RDC members.
I would move to appoint Richard Wertz. Richard has expressed to me that he wishes to stay on the RDC. I think he's done a stand-up job. I'd like to see him stay on there.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay, let's go ahead and nominate another member.
I'd like to nominate Drew Eggers for reappointment to the redevelopment commission.
Second.
Second by Mr. Austin. Is there anyone else that would like to be on the redevelopment commission? Or nominate someone? Okay, hearing none, we will close the nominations. All those in favor of Mr. Wertz and Mr. Eggers, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will go on to annual appointments of 2 telecommunication members. I know Ms. Gray, you're involved in that and quite a bit. I know Phil Rainey and Matt Sprout are the on telecommunications board right now.
They speak a language I'm not familiar with. They speak fluent tech or nerd, whichever way you want. But they are both very active. Matt provides the same role that Rick provides for the city at the school, and since we have an agreement with them, they're communicating daily. And so they both expressed an interest to continue to serve. I know recently they meet on the 4th Monday, we meet on the 4th Monday of every month, and recently they reviewed our cybersecurity policy, they check into our phone systems, our copiers, and things of that nature, so they're both very active.
I know Matt in particular is crucial, particularly with the memorandum of understanding we have with the schools. So I'd move to nominate both for reappointment.
Second that, Drew.
Second by Mr. Austin. Is there anyone else that you want to consider? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations. All in favor of Mr. Rainey and Mr. Sprout, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that gets our appointments for the year. And I do know that I was asked by the fire chief that if anybody wants to leave, now's the time.
Thanks, Pat.
And you're welcome to stay if you want to stay. Okay, that gets us to consent agenda.
I move to approve the meeting minutes from December 16th, 2019, as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Mr. Blankenship. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. There isn't any old business. We go into new business that's introduction only. It is, can we get a motion to?
Yeah, of course. Move to read new business by title only.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ayers to read by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 20-01, repealing and replacing budgetary ordinance number 19-12, fixing and authorizing the payment of certain salaries and appointed officers and employees for the year 2020. Civil City Community Development Director, Krista Linke. And we're not going to make a habit of doing this every city council meeting, changing the ordinances already, the first meeting of the year.
This is actually a request to move $1,000 from the longevity line item in the 100 series to the actual salary position. We had a new employee, Dana Monson, started today. And so being a new employee, she's not eligible for longevity. And as part of the process of trying to recruit her to come to work for the city of Franklin, she took a significant pay cut to do that. And so this was part of what we were hoping to be able to offer her to sweeten the deal a little bit, I guess. And so this is a request. It's not an overall increase in the 100 series for the department, but just a transfer of those funds from longevity to the salary.
You need a motion for that?
This is for introduction only, since it's an ordinance, so we have actually readings of it.
No action.
No action taken, but it'll be set for a public hearing next.
But if anybody has any questions about that, or I'm happy to.
She is getting paid in the interim period,
Yes.
not making her work without it.
Okay, is there any other questions? Well, Krista's here, and we will bring it back the next meeting, which is February the 3rd, the final. Thank you, Krista.
Thank you.
Krista, congratulations on
Thank you.
your fine there. It's a great catch for the city.
Okay, thank you. That gets us to the next item. Request to submit letter asking for donation from HMH. Fire Chief Maxwell.
All right, so before I actually do the request, an announcement, and this is when Steve said to do this. We just received notice today from Firehouse Subs Grant Foundation being awarded $18,361 for ballistic vests and helmets so that we can provide EMS coverage inside of like active shooter situations. I've already reached out to Kirby. He's talked about his vendors to use and some new technology that they're looking at. And as far as training it goes, so I just wanted to make sure the council was aware that we were awarded that today. So why I'm here is I'm asking permission to send in a formal letter to Johnson Memorial Hospital to ask for a gift/donation from them. We've been in preliminary talks, I know it's only the 6th, but for several weeks. And we are going to ask them to donate between $40,000 to $50,000 worth of advanced life support equipment. The advanced life support equipment, the big chunk of it, if you guys remember, you guys buy cardiac monitors and take bids. About $33,000 just for the monitor. They're also going to buy drug boxes, drugs to go in the boxes, bags to carry like bag valve mask and all the equipment that goes with it, and a complete set of narcotics and stuff like that. And we're asking to do this, and I said it'd be anywhere between $40,000 to $50,000, $45,000 to $50,000 for the equipment we're asking for. We're at the stage now where they just need a formal letter. We've been in preliminary talks, but they said, hey, now we just need something formalized, and we can go on with that. So what we're going to do with this is right now, if you guys don't know, we run fire trucks, our fire engines, on EMS calls. So in one district, the busiest district, which is District 21, the house out of Main Street behind Taco Bell, does about 55% of all the calls inside the city. We want to use an SUV, which costs about $35,000 to replace for a new one, compared to a $750,000 piece of apparatus as a fire engine to do EMS calls, as long as we have proper staffing. We think that's going to accompany about 35% of the time that we're going to be able to do that. So it'll reduce wear and tear on the expensive vehicle. It'll also be way more efficient because when second runs come into that district and when the first vehicle's already out, we pull from outside stations, which are farther away. Now, if we have the SUV out, it'll just pull the engine from the same geographic district. And that way it'll also lessen the backup calls that the fire aerials that we use to back up some of the calls, which cost about $1.3 million new right now. So we're going to try to reduce the wear and tear on our high dollar equipment and put it on lower dollar equipment. And then also when we come downtown to festivals, we'll use that equipment to help out on our mobile emergency response vehicle, the little golf cart with a stretcher, so that way we can have more equipment back up. We've usually, until the last couple of mountain monitors, always had 4. And for some reason, we decided to just do 3, but right now I'm asking permission just to submit a letter, and hopefully Johnson Moore Hospital, which they gave the intentions that they're going to approve it, to get free money from them, my better words.
All right, then all Matt's asking for is just permission to apply. That doesn't mean that we're going to get it.
Right.
So,
You say it'll knock down about 35% of the fire engine use, or?
Out of that district, hopefully. Hopefully, yeah.
Well, I applaud it, and I think I'm not the only one here. It just makes way too much sense.
Oh, yeah. We're going to try not to do that too often.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah. And as I told Steve today, there was about 18 grants out there that I put Dawn on to start, so you'll be seeing me a lot asking permission to ask for money from other people, besides you.
Just to go on record.
I'm like Chip.
We're no way reducing, what we provide our citizens by doing that. We're just trying to protect our equipment.
Yeah, yes.
It's kind of a good thing.
And actually, we're actually upping the service because if a second run comes in that district, the response time will be cut down by 3.5 minutes approximately to get to the second call when that happens. And that happens way more frequently than you think.
and Matt, let me just add here, to be able to do that at the other stations, you would have to add staff, correct?
Yes, sir.
And
And we've had that conversation.
this station, you already have enough staff. So
A
that's.
lot of the time, yes.
Yes.
Yes. We're not going to increase staff, we're just moving staff from a vehicle to a different vehicle. And also, when that vehicle is out, the SUV's out, you'll still have 3 fire engines in service instead of going down to 2 fire engines in service when we do that. So the fire coverage will also be better maintained during that
So
time frame.
if the city council, when you get to the point that you say, we want to do this all the time, you have to add staff to make it happen at the other 2 fire stations. Just so everybody's clear on that. So it's, thank you for trying to make a difference. So we need a motion on this?
Yes.
So moved.
I second. Anything to reduce the engine runs on EMS calls, I think is a great move. Yeah, I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on. Thank you.
Mayor, we talked about this, man. I really appreciate you bringing that up. But over 10 years ago, I asked that question, why we're taking a $1.3 million vehicle to someone that fell at Walmart.
Yes, sir. We're working on it. And we have other things in the work that the mayor knows about, so we're trying everything we can.
Thank you.
Okay, next, we'll go to the request approval of interlocal agreement with Johnson County, Greenwood, and Whiteland memorializing commitments for the railroad Coastal Crossing Safety Project. City Engineer Mark Richards.
Good evening. This agreement is the result of an agreement between CSX and Louisville and Indiana Railroad a few years ago to upgrade the LIRC line between Indianapolis and the city of Louisville, Kentucky. The purpose of that agreement is to allow CSX to use the line and increase the number of trains from approximately 2 to 17 a day, double the speed from 24 to 49 miles an hour, and to increase the weight on rail cars. It also allows CSX to run trains that are up to like 13 or 14,000 feet long, so fairly lengthy trains. Safety was a big concern for the city of Greenwood, Franklin, and Johnson County at the time, and each jurisdiction had sent letters to the federal agency, I think it was Federal Railroad Association, requesting that a part of that project include funds for upgrading rail crossings to improve safety. As you know, we've had a number of incidents in the county over the last few years. There was a death at crossing in Whiteland a year or so ago. At about the same time, there were 3 car train accidents in one day in Greenwood, not all at the same crossing either. So there's evidently a problem. The FRA decided not to require any safety improvements. So Greenwood, Franklin, and Johnson County applied jointly for a grant through the Indianapolis MPO to request funds to upgrade all of those crossings. The downside is that we have to come up with 10% of the cost, but it's well worth the investment. We have an interlocal agreement between the county, the city of Franklin, Greenwood, and now the town of Whiteland, who has joined this effort to pay for these safety upgrades. That project is actually about to start. The railroad is proceeding with it without having this agreement in place and without having the local funding paid yet. Last year, this council appropriated funds for Franklin's local match. We didn't have the agreement in place, so we have to reappropriate those funds. They went back to the general fund at the end of the year. The cost for the city of Franklin for our local match is $126,417.61. That works out to a total construction cost for the city of Franklin crossings of $1.26 million. We're paying 10%. The Board of Public Works and Safety approved this agreement at its meeting earlier this evening. The Board of Works and the Council for the City of Greenwood, the Johnson County Council, the Johnson County Commissioners, and the Town of Whiteland, the Town Board are also going to have to approve this. So we're doing our part to get our local approvals done this evening. We'll send this on to the counties so that they can then collect all the signature pages and have a fully executed document. I think I've covered about everything. Ms. Gray and I have worked on this for a number of months, most of this year, so at this point, or most of last year. So, she has reviewed and approved it, as have the councils for all of the other entities.
Except Whiteland.
Except Whiteland.
And we did, and Mark, this is important, high priority, it's a safety issue, so Mark, was your official towards the end. The county attorneys have looked at it and reviewed it. They don't have any further suggestions. We've each had some coordinated with the county attorney, also coordinated with Greenwood's city attorney. They're okay with it as presented at this point. I'm okay with it as presented. We didn't hear back from Whiteland, so we're just pushing ahead. I don't anticipate they will have any problems. Quite frankly, all of our interests are aligned. The county is in charge of actually maintaining the records, as you would have to do in an interlocal agreement. Anytime you have an interlocal agreement, there's a requirement for all our records and expenditures be maintained so that they're available for public. inspection. The county is depository for that, so they'll take on that burden. We have to pay our expense for, and we have to do our inspections for the crossings within our area. But I don't anticipate Whiteland having any additional. They kind of came late to the party once we found out we could find money, so, but we're happy to do it. It'll be helpful for anybody that's out using these railroads.
We have added pedestrian signals and gate arms at all of the crossings where we have actual sidewalks or trails. So we're not only going to be protecting vehicular traffic, but also pedestrian traffic. There are a number of crossings in the southern part of the county that are not covered as part of this grant because that's outside the metropolitan planning area. It's not eligible for funding through the grant we received. However, the county has applied for funding through NDOT through their rural process for funding and has secured grants for that. So we're going to have safety upgrades at virtually every crossing through
Mark, I noticed that we have the largest total to include Greenwood as well. Can you give us a breakdown specifically how many crossings are affected here in Franklin?
Sure. Can I get that document from you, Dan?
While Mark's doing that, this one is add that Mayor McGinnis all started, this has been going on a long time. Mayor McGinnis is here tonight. He's working on it, 2000, what was that, Joe? That you said 2015, 16?
Yeah, 15.
Yeah, and then I've been working on it. I want to add too that they do want to shut down Adams Street, so we might as well get that out there, that Adams Street is one that they want to shut down. That's the railroad. Mark and I are still in conversation with the railroad to see if we can get that changed. I don't know if that'll get changed, but we're going to work on that. And it's a $4 million county-wide project. Greenwood needs to close one, we need to close one, and if we don't close those intersections as of now, it wipes out the whole project. So we may not have a choice, but we're going to work to see if we can keep Adams Street open.
Johnson County is also closing County Road 150 South. It's not part of this project. That's something that came up later for construction of siding. But there are 3 entities in the county that are closing crossings. City of Greenwood has 7 crossings total in their jurisdiction. 2 already have the gates and warning signals, and then 1 will be closed, so they'll actually upgrade 4 crossings. Franklin has 9, thank you, and 2 of those have existing gates and warning devices. 1 is to be closed, so we'll build 6 crossings that are upgraded safety-wise. One reason why our total is as high as it is, the crossing at Grand Street and Lyndhurst is it's a cluster. Yeah, it's going to require a lot of different gates and signals to protect people coming from different directions. So that's going to be a very expensive crossing. The urban crossings are also more expensive than rural crossings, and I differentiate between the 2. Urban crossings have pedestrian access as well, as long as drainage. The rural crossings are much less expensive. They're about 2/3 the cost of an urban crossing.
One of the other things to keep in mind somewhat is that railroads are governed by federal law, and what they call preemption. So much of what we are able to do must come through negotiation and cooperation. We don't have much leverage from a state legal standpoint because the federal government preempts state regulation of railroads based upon the ability to have trade across. If you go back to your government days, you can't interfere with trade, and because it is international or across our country, we can't go in and stop a railroad from going through. So we have to work more along the lines of cooperation with them, and glad that everybody's recognizing we need some safety crossings here after their increasing their speeds.
Am I correct in that, hearing you say at Board of Works, they can go up to 17 runs a day?
That's what was estimated in the approval given to the railroad by the federal government.
I'm reminded by a Facebook post put out by our county surveyor, Greg Cantwell, as he was sitting at a crossing waiting for the train to come. And get through, and he said, "Welcome to train climbing."
I can tell you about, the mayor and I rode one of the trains through the town at the proposed speed. We took that ride, just so we kind of knew what we were talking about. And you would be amazed at the number of people who try to beat the train. It's frightening as we were sitting there. And I knew we were going to win that race because we were in the engine as we were going, and I kept still putting my hand out. Oh, go. So it's needed.
Well, I worry about constant crossing in the country, because I'm not thinking about it. And I can see what that is a hazard. Where is which bucket is this funding coming out of?
Okay, what we will do now, we did fund it last year because we had a lot of projects. We didn't use it, so we're gonna break it back over into the rainy day when that time
Is that where
comes.
it's coming from?
And from right now, it's gonna come out of the board orders.
Okay.
And then I'll just tell you later on, down the road, as we do more projects, we may come back and want some appropriation out of the rainy day fund, and I'll say, remember, we did that for the railroad, we put that back in there, so now we need to get it back. So just give everybody a heads up that that's, now it's coming out of the board order, so we don't have to appropriate any tonight, but later on, I'm sure we will do some appropriations, or come and ask for some appropriations. Mark likes to do projects too.
You need a motion for approval of the interlocal agreement?
Yes, and it can be approved tonight if you're so willing.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Mr. Austin. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, next is another big project that's been going on for quite some time. Request approval of the interlocal agreement with NDOT, memorializing comments for the US 31 corridor project, city engineer Mark Richards.
We've been working on this interlocal agreement for about 12 months now. I think my first meeting with the Seymour District folks was last January. Lynn and one of the attorneys from the central office became involved towards the end of the negotiations so that we could make sure that we were legally doing things right. This is a project that actually has been going on for 3 or 4 years now. And I don't know at what point it was first proposed, but I know it was prior to my coming here.
Spring, summer of 16.
Okay. This project is a complete corridor redesign and reconstruction of US 31 through the city of Franklin. It starts just south of South Main Street and extends all the way to just north of Israel Lane, up near the town of Whiteland. It includes multi-use pathways along each side of the roadway corridor. It includes a number of intersection improvements that will make those intersections safer, and it will improve traffic flow throughout the entire corridor. There will be some challenges and changes to how traffic does move, especially with left turn movements. Those will be at what are called in the agreement and other locations, J turns or median U turns. They do have a number of different names. Indiana does not currently have a corridor such as this that has, so this is a project that NDOT is very interested in as a demonstration project, and if I misspeak, please let me know.
I'm not here for purpose.
You probably didn't know this was on the agenda, did you?
The total project cost is $48,481,874. That's a big number, but thankfully the city's portion of that is limited to design only. We have an amount not to exceed $3.2 million in the agreement. This funding has already been approved through a bond, a TIF bond for the TIF district along US 31. That leaves NDOT's amount at $45 million, just under $45.3 million. The project will also include some drainage improvements at Canary Creek. The drainage culverts there will be expanded to help reduce some of the backup that occurs on the east side of US 31 up through Scott Park. The intent is not to limit or reduce any access to any properties along 31. In fact, we think it will improve that access in order to make a left turn instead of actually turning left across traffic. The intent will be to travel past the intersection, make a U-turn at a specific location, and then make a right turn when you get back to the intersection that you originally wanted to make a left turn. So it's going to be similar to roundabouts, and it takes some getting used to. It's not, like I said, it's not commonly in use in Indiana. I know there are a couple of intersections in Indianapolis that have this, but it is proven through both experience and modeling to reduce traffic accidents. It increases the ability to move through the corridor at a faster rate because you don't have all the stops at each intersection where there's a traffic signal. A lot of those stops are dedicated left turn movements using a left turn arrow. You eliminate those. That way you devote all that time to the through movements, both north and south on US 31 and east and west at the cross streets. I'd be happy to answer the other thing that it does is it severely or significantly reduces fatalities because you don't have those high-speed T-bone crashes that you normally have at left turn intersections. So I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mark, are the pedestrian walkways represented in the salmon color?
Yeah, it's kind of a salmon color. Yeah.
Okay. That goes all the way down both sides, the whole length of everything?
It does. Depending on how the funding works out and whether the costs increase, to a point where we can't afford to do sidewalks on both sides, we may have to reduce, trails on both sides, we may have to reduce that to a sidewalk on one side and a trail on the other.
Has this project already been bid out?
No.
Oh, no. We're in the design stage right now. We expect we sent a proposed schedule for bidding on the project or letting to NDOT. They've come back to us and they'd like us to accelerate it by a year. So we're looking at possibly a 2023 fiscal year letting, which is July 1st of 2022.
What would happen if the cost exceed? Does that really falls on NDOT then at that point?
Well,
I can answer that,
Okay.
because one of the questions, but part of our matching obligation is for design. And so the question came up in the conversations, and Mark's right, we've been talking about this for 2 months. Because we're really fronting much of it in the first part, what we're doing. And then the question came up, what if NDOT doesn't have the money to, once we've got a design to do their $46 million, or roughly $45.5 million. There's a provision in there, and quite frankly, there's a bit of risk. I think it's an acceptable risk given the amount of their funding. That if that happens, we'll have to come back and rescale the project. We've already spent some money on some design. They'll come back. We asked specifically, the mayor, Mark and I have been in several meetings, are you aware of any projects where that has occurred? And they have advised us, never. So once they've gotten to this stage, they've never had one where they didn't get the funding through because they don't make these steps unless they're already thought about this funding. So they're not aware of any. Now they've had projects of their own that they've changed, but they've never with an interlocal with a local entity. We're not aware of any that we'd ever change their mind, and that would be something, we did put a provision in there that in the event that were to occur, that the parties would then rescale the project in accordance with what we then look at. So, it's a great question, we asked it, we can't guarantee it, but there is a provision we rescale.
And I would think that if it is scaled down a little bit, with us doing the partnership, $3.2 million, it gives us a seat at the table. And the trails, the drainage, that's the big thing for the city, for us. I know the state is more worried about the safety, and I understand that. So if there's any scaling back, that's probably what it would be at the roadway itself, not the trails, not the drainage. And the safety part of it, this is one of the most dangerous intersections from Columbus to Indianapolis, and that's one reason we're looking to cut down on the accidents. You look in the newspapers, almost every other day there's a wreck on US 31, and this is what we're talking about here, is not those white ballards that the people can't seem to figure out, which I think is a pretty safe intersection, but people can't figure that out. There was a wreck there yesterday, I think, so it's not that.
I know this is getting into the weeds a lot, maybe into the swampy areas, but a lot of that side where these paths are gonna be are down in ditches or swamp ground. Is that ground gonna be elevated, or are these paths gonna be outside of that, or?
I don't know if we can answer that yet, but I would expect that it would probably be, those ditches may be filled in and piped, but, you know, that adds significantly to the cost too. So, we may have to look at a trade-off between the drainage component and the right-of-way component, and expand the right-of-way enough to be able to fit ditches along the trail.
And y'all have like bullseyes along the road, so when people throw their White Castle sacks out the window, they're shooting at something? Just kidding.
But we will have, I mean, once we get to the point, there'll be a lot of community meetings, just like we did, quite frankly, with the Just.
There'll be both public meetings and public hearings, because there's an obligation to do public hearings, especially for a project of this magnitude, for the environmental document and how it impacts residences and businesses along the corridor, how it impacts endangered species, if there are any there. So there's some fairly significant public hearings.
There'll be a lot of public hearings, that's
Mark, Krista, could you stop a second for scrolling? Mark, can you tell me in the center of the green, is that grass?
That's grass. Where it's green, it's grass,
The
yes.
city will maintain that?
Yes, the blue is driveway access,
Right.
and then you can actually see the pavement markings pretty well.
Yeah.
And it, on the handouts I gave you, you can make those out as well. Chris, if you'll scroll.
It's a lot of greenery. It is.
But yeah. Okay, so you see there at one of these J-turns or median U-turns, there's an S in a circle. That means there's a signal there. Traffic going north on, or to the right on 31 would enter that median cut. It would trigger a signal that would only stop traffic in the southbound direction. Traffic on the northbound side would free flow. So it would be a short duration signal that would allow that vehicle to make that U-turn and go southbound. The signal would then change to green, and traffic would continue moving on the southbound side.
Mark, I think another thing to point out to particularly everybody in the audience, this is just concept right now. These are not the final design.
These are not final design drawings. However, I will say that there's been about 2 years worth of preliminary design going into this. It's been vetted by NDOT's people both in the central office and in the district office. I think this is going to be pretty close to the final design product.
And Councilman, you raised a good question, but the issue I think that was determined very early on is NDOT has complete jurisdiction over this project period.
Right.
And so there was nothing that required them, it's their road, there was nothing that required them other than cooperation, and we found them to be very cooperative in us throwing in some money, so, but they came.
The project's gonna happen anyway.
Correct, and we are now able to participate in that project that we had rest on.
I'm not saying that there may not be things that are brought up during the design process or during public meetings or public hearings that would change some of these elements, but, you know, there's always that possibility.
Sure.
If I may add one legal point I want to bring out, I apologize to those council members that were here for the redundancy of the board workers I raised, but I think it's important for you, and particularly for our new board members. In many of these boilerplate contracts that we get from NDOT, there are a lot of provisions that I've expressed to you in the past I don't like, but sometimes we're required to execute them. And one of them that I typically have concerns about are the hold harmless and indemnification agreements that are in there. Hold harmless essentially means that if we enter into this contract, we can't sue NDOT because of something that we don't like. I mean, that's watering it down, but that's the hold harmless part of it. This second part that's more important is the indemnification part. So in one instance, we can't hold NDOT responsible. In the second instance, is if some third party out there were to hold or were to sue NDOT, we could be responsible for indemnifying them for what occurs. And that's the typical boilerplate indemnification agreements that you don't like. The reason that you don't like those, from our perspective, is sometimes we are taking on the responsibility to be responsible for costs, including defending lawsuits that on a road that really isn't ours. And what really caused a lot of city attorneys to be worried about these things is, if you recall, when the state fair collapse happened, what happened there was NDOT had signed, I'm sorry, not NDOT, the state of Indiana had signed certain contracts with third parties that said, come and build your stages and we'll hold you harmless and indemnify you from any problems that were there. What the state of Indiana ended up doing when they did that is they're protected by immunity, but they took on the responsibility from some third party because those third parties weren't. They weren't protected, and that's why the potential exposure to the state was so much higher. I don't believe that to be applicable here, and the reason that I don't think that, NDOT has the same immunities that the city of Franklin has in terms of our financial responsibility is capped as is NDOT. So when we are taking on indemnification requirements in NDOT, we are not exposing ourselves to the unlimited liabilities that we can have. Additionally, with this indemnification agreement that's in there, we are only holding NDOT harmless and indemnifying them from those things that we are responsible for doing, as in the designs of the trail, those kind of things. Thirdly, when we enter into contracts with third-party contractors, we typically have a provision in there that makes the third-party contractor hold us harmless and indemnify us so that it's passed on down the food chain, for lack of a better word. So while there's always risk, I think it's negligible compared to what is typically the issue that I discuss with you all when I see these indemnification agreements. And given the amount of money that we're getting or working with, it's something acceptable, but I think I would be remiss if I didn't point that out. And it did get modified substantially after our conversation with you.
Mark, are these going to be done in stages? It's going to take 2 years to build?
It will take probably 2 construction seasons to build. We don't have a schedule yet. We don't have maintenance of traffic. We're not going to be able to close down a section of 31 to build it. So we're going to have to deal with a little bit of pain there.
I understand. A lot of pain.
The NDOT has indicated a desire to let the entire project at one time. So it may be phased from a construction standpoint, but it's not going to be multiple contracts. I would also like to point out that this agreement was approved by the Board of Works earlier this evening, and after you make a decision on this, should you approve the agreement, it will then go to the Redevelopment Commission on the 21st before it gets forwarded on to NDOT at that point.
new council members, we can go longer than we ever have, but they're talking too much.
I'll move for the approval of the interlocal agreement and the attachments as presented.
Second. You knew that, Sean, he was giving us first.
Second by Mr. Taylor. Is there any other discussion? There will be plenty of discussion in public meetings, but if there's any other things, hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're going to the RDC.
Thank you.
Okay, that gets us, there isn't any other business, so that gets us to the council member comments. And I think since we have new members on each end, I think we'll start in the middle. So, Mr. Eggers, do you have?
Welcome to all the new members. Congratulations, Mr. Cole. Look forward to working with you. You did a stand-up job. Thanks y'all for being here.
Ditto.
Keep it brief, Danny.
Excited to get going. I'm looking forward to working with the city and the members of the board here, so just happy to be here.
I'm not going to welcome Brian. You've been here for a number of meetings, and glad to have you partnering with us with the opening invocation. And thank Richard for all his diligence in doing that over the years that he was on the council. Want to point out on the 21st, the Redevelopment Commission is meeting. I'm looking at Krista. Some of you council members might have an interest in what we're going to talk about, because we are going to try to maybe do a little bit of a deeper dive as it relates, and I'm looking at Krista so she can shake her head if this is not the case. We're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive on what we're facing out on the east side with the development out there and expanding some of the TIF areas out there. There's a lot of activity, at least it appears it is going on behind the scenes. And there's going to be some infrastructure projects that we're going to have to work on and pay for. So that will be something I think that is going to have it's going to shape the future of Franklin probably in the next few years. But it's kind of a big deal. We're kind of in the preliminary, kind of introductory portion of that, so you might want to come to that. So you don't have to, but just making you aware, making the public aware as well.
When was that, Bob?
8 a.m.
We meet at 8 a.m., so I don't know what else.
We'll also,
As part of that process though, we'll have to come to the city council to amend that TIF district, so we can give a brief overview of it then as well.
Okay. So I think we were talking about maybe an amphitheater presentation, but that will more than likely come in February or March as that gets a little bit more. These are funded by the bond issue, that at least the amphitheater part is that. So that coming up. So thank you and welcome to all the new members too.
Mr. Austin, Mr. President.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for your confidence in electing me your president again. I appreciate it. Do my extreme best, as everyone probably knows. Matt, congratulations. Look forward to working with you and your team. And I think that's it. Kirby, I appreciate the effort you guys are doing. I see a lot more patrols locally in certain specific areas. Specifically in my neighborhood, I see, more police presence, and I think you're dividing up the city a little better or something. I don't know what's happening, but it seems to be working. I've gotten a ton of comments from my constituents on my part of town that say thank you. So I appreciate that, and that's it.
Mr. Reiners, that speech that you were supposed to give the other night, you didn't give.
I know, you didn't give me an opportunity. No, Happy New Year to everybody. I'm excited to be here. Looking down this panel, I should say, I think we got a good group. So I'm excited to work with all of you, and I'm excited to represent Franklin. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McGinnis.
I'm just going to echo the sentiments of my other new members here. I'm excited to be here, and I look forward to working with everyone, and look forward to learning from the old timers. So, thanks.
Thanks, Jan and I appreciate having somebody else. Thanks, we'll keep them in mind.
All right, so
Anybody else have anything?
I do have two things I think I want to put on the record, if I may. Just for purposes of the record, the council members, all council members have signed our disclosure statements as we're required to do. We gave you a uniform conflict of interest. The clerk treasurer will keep those. If along the way you find that there's something that needs to be disclosed, then we can always just amend them. The clerk treasurer's office keeps those. Also, all the council members have signed their direct line supervision disclosures. In other words, none of the council members directly supervising our staff. So that's something we're required to do every year, and so that would be part of the record. Secondly, Joanna may have called to my attention, and I always respect her legal opinion when it comes to the planning commission. We may have an issue with regard to whether or not the planning commission appointment has to be a member of the council or a membership. I think given that Mr. Allen really wants to serve, I want to look into it and make sure before we decide as a courtesy to him whether, but I respect Joanna's opinion that that may be an issue. So if it is, I will come back to you. We have a meeting on our third Tuesday. I go to so many meetings, third Tuesday of every month. The planning commission is made up of 11 people, so we will certainly have a quorum. That won't be an issue if we don't have an appointment. But out of respect to Mr. Abbott, I will look into that first before we make a decision. If this is what you'd be surprised if we bring it back.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone in the crowd? Hearing none, we're ready for a motion.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second by Pam. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.